So now, when you are starting your practice, what is the first thing that we should be doing? The first thing we should be doing is to bring our mind to the present. Yeah. So how do we bring our mind to the present? Why do we need to bring our mind to the present? Because if your mind is not in the present, that means our mind is generally disturbed. Because we are thinking of something in the past that has happened. You are thinking of yesterday or etc. or what happened yesterday or before or something. Or you are thinking of something in the the future that may or may not happen. Definitely your mind is not in the present. Whenever we find our mind disturbed, if you look at it, we are either thinking of past or we are thinking of future. Most of the time we will find that. And when we are, and that is how we are stressed out. And when we are stressed out, we usually we are able to, when we are stressed out, when our mind is not clear, we'll do everything except the solution to our problem. When we talk to students, I usually joke with them that, usually when you're stressed about your exam, you'll think about last year, how you failed or how you didn't do well. In the future, you may not do well, how embarrassing it is. The only thing that will help you is to study, and that is the one thing you will not do, because you're so stressed out, right? And the relationship also, when you're stressed out, you will imagine about past, what happened, future, what may happen. The only thing that is face the problem right now and talk to that person, do solution, that is the last thing that we'll feel like doing, because we are stressed out, We are only imagining of the past and the future, etc. So the first thing, to whether you are practicing or in a life, before doing anything is to bring the mind to the present. That is the essence of the meditation, concentration meditation, vipassana, etc. Basically, bring the mind to the present. So how do we bring the mind to the present? That is that's why all the retreats, when you do individual practices, whether it is the Thara, whether it's a Yangtik, whether it is the Guru Yoga practices, the first thing to always start with the breathing meditation is very much recommended. Yeah? So we will do the meditation. Okay. So you can keep your body relaxed. Yeah. Keep your back straight, shoulders spread out, hand in equanimity position, neck slightly bent down, tongue touching the upper part of the mouth. And as for the hand, if you are able to do, then it is recommended that whenever you breathe out, we visualize all the negativity, anger, sadness, frustration, negative thoughts coming out in the form of black smoke. Whenever we breathe in, the blessing. So whenever we breathe out, we open our hands. And just before we breathe in, it is recommended that if you can, that the two thumbs should press on the inner side of the two ring fingers. Right? The reason for that is, it is said that our wind, the wind channel, the wind is connected with our emotions, and the wind runs through the certain channels, and that affects our emotions. So it is said that these two sides, there's the channel of anger and channel of desire. Yeah, and then the central channel is said to be the wisdom channel. So when you press these two, then it kind of forces the wind to go into central channel, and that is conducive to the the awareness. So that is why whenever we breathe out, we open our hand, and just before we breathe in, we kind of press these two, and then close, and then we breathe in. Yeah? And then when we breathe in, also it is recommended that we breathe in and then hold the air below your navel, not up, below your navel for a few seconds, and then exhale. And even after exhaling, immediately we should not breathe in, then we'll breathe in the stale air. So that's why we breathe out for a while, and then we breathe in. Yeah? Okay. So first we breathe out from the nose. Breathe in very, very subtly, that even you cannot hear yourself breathing in and out. Breathe in. The blessing of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. hold, breathe out. Second time you breathe in, it should be medium strength. Hold. Exhale. Last one should be more strong. It's called the male ear. Exhale. One time. Again, we breathe in very subtly. Exhale. Inhale the female ear. Exhale. Inhale the male ear. Exhale. When we breathe in subtly, it is called a non-gender because it's so subtle that you cannot even define gender. Then the second time we breathe in, it's a little bit more strongly, breathe in and out. It's called the female air. And then the last one, when we breathe in, is called the male air, because then you are supposed to breathe in very strongly and then hold. And when you exhale, you exhale as if all the air from your belly has been expelled. And if you feel that you cannot put the air below your navel, swallowing one time will help you. Yeah. And when you are experiencing that, and all other yogas that you have heard, like a heat yoga and sleeping in the snow and all this thing, this is a steps towards that. Okay. So the last time, breathe in the non-gender air. Exhale. Inhale the male, the female. Exhale. Then inhale the male air. Exhale. Then after that is this if you are able to, when we do the visualization with the visualization of the breathing in the blessing, breathing out negativity, it brings our mind to the present. And then and it is said that for the time being, this breathing meditation has ability to suppress the negative emotions. Then after that, we do the motivation, the aspiration or motivation prayer. So basically, whatever you are doing, whatever practices you are doing, which we are doing Tara or Yangtik practices, we say that today I'm going to do the practice, and for that practice I wish to dedicate not only for myself but for all the sentient being that wishes happiness and do not want suffering the way I do not want. So from a Bodhisattva or Mahayana point of view, such kind of practices are known as the Bodhisattva practice, and this kind of expands our heart. Right now in our heart, I think we have our heart is very limited. So if you really look into your heart, we may find that there's the few people that we genuinely care about, and even those we do care about, we care about our husband, we care about our wife, we care about our children, but with the terms and condition. If you follow these terms and condition, you are my husband, I love you very much. For you I'll bring my stars and the sun for you, my wife. But if you break the term and condition, you are my ex-wife. You are my divorced. You are no longer my friend. You are no longer, right? And the more selfish we are, of course, all of us are selfish. Without certain selfishness, probably there'll be no relationship at all, unless you are Bodhisattva. But the more selfish we are, more terms and conditions we have. And the less selfish we are, the terms and conditions are just like 5 or 6 rules. Don't do this, then we are okay, right? And then the more selfish we are, because more selfish we are means less, less we understand other people's wish for happiness, other people's wish for avoid suffering. We cannot see that, because in order to see and understand other people's suffering, you need to put some effort. Because all of us are too busy looking at our life and our happiness that we cannot see. Right? That is why even in the morning when we say that, I don't know about you guys, but most of us, when in the morning when we do today I'm going to do Tara practice for the sake of all sentient being. Most of us, we are not able to do it from the heart. We think this is we think this is not very important. We think this is something pre-functional. You just have to read it aloud and then. But actually, this practice, has such a profound effect. I was reading a little bit. Nowadays, there's a very popular called emotional intelligence. Right? EQ is more important than IQ. Right? What is the meaning of emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence means you understand that in order for your business to survive, you need your customers to be happy. In order for your work to be colleague to working environment to happy, you understand that your customers and your colleagues are not a robot. They have emotions. They have a hope. They have fears the way we do it. We have fears and hope. So how do we understand that? If we spend 100% thinking about ourselves, yet we are supposed to understand emotional intelligence by reading some book and going to some courses. I don't think so. So in order for us to have emotional intelligence, we need to really, firstly we need to see all the beings, starting from our own family, as a human, as a being who wants happiness, who doesn't want suffering. And this is something I have noticed that in all of us. Maybe you guys are better than me. I've noticed that most of us, once we label somebody as our friend or family, we have a little bit of the blindness. Right? Recently, when I was traveling in the U.S., I was going to in a train, Amtrak, we were train, and there was a husband and a wife, in front of me. So there was the one lady was coming, and I think the wife was sticking her leg out a little bit. So how wife's leg hit the stranger, and then the stranger, the lady was saying, it's okay, don't worry. And the husband was, oh, you are such a nice person, you are so kind, you are like complimenting the stranger and busy scolding the wife, you are so stupid, why are you like that? You should put your like that, actually, like stranger, no matter how wonderful he or she may be, She has not really done much for you. You just met her. You struck her, she just, and then you are praising the stranger a lot, which is very good. But you are, busy scolding your wife. Why? Because we have this kind of, the blindness that, say, my husband, I can say anything. Why? Because my husband, or my wife, it doesn't matter. We forget that behind the label of the wife or husband is also someone who wants happiness, someone who doesn't want pain and suffering. We forget that. So when we forget that, we lose our emotional intelligence, right? And then when that happens too much, then it has a lot of consequences in a relationship, etc. So how do we develop that? How do we develop, from my point of view, you can call it emotional intelligence, you can call it, the bodhicitta, whatever, How do we develop this, this kind of understanding? I think it's a habit. Everything is a habit. We need to develop this, right now we don't really have a habit of understanding others, caring for others. And this is something that we need to develop. And this is very important, especially for a Bodhisattva practitioner, because whether we are really able to help the sentient being or not, it doesn't really depend on whether you have the wealth or power or influence. Many people say that I want to become successful, then I'm going to help all the sentient being. But when they are successful, whether they will really help others or not depends on whether they have this emotional intelligence or not. Otherwise, I'm sure you have heard also this. Nowadays, the very doctors that we are supposed to helping, sometimes the doctors are the one who are hurting people. They are the ones, like in the business, in the hospitals, you go and they make you do all the unnecessary tests, etc. And I don't know whether it happens in your country, but in some countries, people feel afraid to go to hospital, because they say, this hospital don't go, because all the doctors have to meet certain quota, have make some income for the hospital. Usually the doctor is the person who is supposed to really help. But when you do not have the helping attitude, right, then you don't, the very person. So then the doctors can harm you. Religious teachers are supposed to benefiting you. But if you don't have this bodhicitta, they will not benefit you. They'll benefit themselves. Even if you become successful politician, whatever. So yes, it is true that there is no job, no profession that is bad. If you have this bodhicitta, any profession, you are able to benefit sentient being. So how do we develop this habit? I feel that in the morning, this sort of practice that, today I'm going to do Tara practice for the sake of all the sentient being that want happiness, that do not want suffering the way we do not want. This simple thing, it is creating a habit. And as the habit becomes more and more, then that is what, they say personality is basically a habit. Right? So that's why it's called the Kulnong Semkit to me. The meaning will be that today we are going to do Tara practice for the benefit of all the sentient beings who wish happiness and who doesn't want suffering the way we do not. Manjur namka dang nyambe simjen damche korwa tungelgi gyamso le de chizun phama drume kobang la gobarcha dei chedo chizun ma phama drume ngendrubla jukpargio. So after we have this, the practice of the Kulong, then from the four ways of transforming your mind, the appreciation meditation, is where we come into play. So basically, when we do not appreciate anything in our life, we will not be able to, the reason when we do not appreciate in our life, that is the reason when we feel that our life is really worthless, Our life is worthless, our life is full of suffering, and then we don't have any joy or any encouragement to practice the dharma. Right? And I don't know whether it's true, but I feel that maybe, in some way I guess that, whenever I go to hospitals, to meet the sick people, when I see sick people dying, I feel that that is actually the true face of the humanity, the sufferings that we have. But somehow, we have kind of, filter it with all the Instagram filters, If the place is very dirty, we make it into a very nice filter. You are not so beautiful, but you filter it, and somehow, we have given this illusion that that there is a kind of, that everybody else is doing all wonderful things, and it's only we that is suffering, that we are going through difficulty. But in reality, I think that everybody in a life, they are all going through their own challenges as well as we are. But at the same time, we are also not looking at many positive things that is in our life. And we all have a tendency to look at the difficulty things we are facing, and then we highlight that and we forget all the positive things. So that is why the appreciation meditation, in every practice that you do, whether it's a Ngondrot or Yangtik, you have to integrate that. I remember that there was a Guru Padma Sambhava teaching that one of the, I think it was after the king Tizong passed away, one of his queen asked Guru Padma Sambhava, what practice should I do now? And because Guru Padma Sambhava said he is going to leave this world, to the copper-colored mountains. So Guru Padma Sambhava said that, the most essential, he said that it doesn't mean, in order to get enlightened, you do not have to know the entire sutras and yatra, sutras yana. You do not have to become know-all. You just, with the one practice, immerging it with nature of your mind, you will get enlightened, you will get realization. But he said, I remember, he said that the appreciation meditation, impermanence meditation, and the refuge and the bodhisattva, and then whatever single practice you are doing, that is good enough. So similarly, I think we as you can do it at your own home in the morning, just appreciating the fact that we are alive, appreciating the fact that we have a good health, appreciating the fact that we have met enlightened masters, received the teachings. We are in such a the nice kind of environment provided by the kindness of the Drukpa Hongkong and Drukpa Asian Center. All the positive things that we have, the appreciating that will kind of give us the encouragement, joyous encouragement to practice.